You're tuned in to The Keetra Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetra. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another wonderful episode of SOB Style of Business Podcast. Today, I am chatting it up with Natalie Viglione, who is the founder of Team Goo and Disrupt Now. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about entrepreneurship, creativity, and the power of using your intuition. You know, we all have that higher guidance that we sometimes take for granted, or we don't even realize that we're more powerful than we think. But thankfully, today we have Natalie, joining us, and she's going to give us some insight on her journey and talk to us a little bit about how we can really maximize who we are, right? So let's have her drop that introduction. You guys know the drill, and we will keep the ball rolling from there. Natalie, how is your day going? How's everything?
Hello. Thanks, Keetra. So glad to be here on your show and talk all the juicy creative stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, I have my pen and pad in handy. We're gonna, we're gonna try to pull as much information as possible, and of course, allow you to, give us some gems as well. So let's start by, if you want to just give us a little introduction about, who you are and just your a little tad bit about where you're going and your journey and all that stuff, and we'll keep it moving.
Yeah, all that juicy stuff. So, from the creative side, it's interesting, the journey, how it's like we sometimes get pushed onto these pathways and sometimes are like, I don't really understand how I'm here. Yeah. I kind of kicked off my career super early because I put myself through college. And so I worked full time. So it was one of those situations where, I'm young. I don't really have like the full breadth of the words to even describe who I am. And so the journey of the pathway that I've taken has really been a self-discovery journey as much as it has been discovering that as I went through 17 years of corporate life in the sales and marketing realm, getting up to, I had my eye on this corporate ladder situation, and I was young and I was intent on climbing that thing as fast as I could, only just because it was like I had to prove myself to who. I'm still trying to figure that out, almost to myself, I think. But
right.
Anyway, as I'm going up into that VP realm and in the agency world in New York City, I had this interesting moment of separation from higher self saying, you can continue on this path if you want, you're going to be massively successful, or you can go on the pathway that you're supposed to be on. If you go the way that you're going, we will disconnect. You will be severed. You will not, this is not the chosen path. And I was like, I'm going to listen to that because I literally felt it. I felt what it would have been like to have been separated from the very thing that honestly took me to extremely amazing heights and allowed me to do really amazing things. And so I knew that if I didn't choose to leave corporate and do my purpose, my pathway that I knew was getting laid out before me, it would have been very detrimental for my life. And so I left. And that was about I guess I'm coming up on the 7-year mark almost. Which is a magic number in my life anyway. But this whole pathway has been absolutely, totally about evolution, about reclaiming my power, reclaiming my creativity, which I think, honestly, most of us are on a pathway to do, especially from the standpoint of taking back our power. Because, so much has been taken away from us. And, especially us women sitting here, that's just like a basic level of, I think back to corporate days where I'm sitting in that board room and I'm like, there's 2 women to like every 15 men, and it was just a very, strong realization that I had. So, but the pathway was always in this sales and marketing. And the way I really look at marketing, and I'm sure, we can kind of talk about this in depth, given what you do as well, is this thought process around marketing is actually getting to know what human is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's true. Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people forgot that. I sure know that the agency world totally forgot that. They don't, they're more concerned with, I don't know, how much are you going to spend? Let's talk about that, So anyway, so that's kind of a nutshell of the journey to get to exactly where I am today.
And still going, which is I find it interesting that, sometimes when we're so successful in one area of our lives and we feel like that's going to be it, right? And then you just kind of keep going, and then one day you're like, no, like something is off, right? And it's not that you are not good at what you're doing. You just kind of realize that there's something a little bit deeper than the regular action steps that you've been taking, or like the regular routine. And for you to be able to come to that realization, like, okay, it's time to pivot and switch gears. I think that's a lot of people. If anybody is able to get to that point where they realize that they're not really utilizing what's given to them when it comes to tapping into your higher self and creativity, that can be detrimental. And the fact that you went in, like, think about it, New York of all places, right? You're talking about sales and marketing, corporate. I'm getting all these type of Wolf of Wall Street type movies. I can only imagine the type of settings that you were in. But like, how much pressure was that for you? Like, do you think, was it like a lot of pressure that mounted up to where you came to the realization, like, this is not it? Or what happened to make you really realize that you needed to do something different?
Well, besides, my inner guidance system, like all the alarms were being sounded off at some point. Right. The neon signs, but there was another facet to this, which truly, and by the way, I was a part of this all, if not an instigator in most ways, of being in this toxic culture, which, prided people on partying their asses off.
Yeah, been there, done that. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And, strip clubs, it was not, and I will fully admit, it was fun. I had fun, and I felt lighter than even I do now, because it was a lot of that. But the problem is that A, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Let's just, but B, it's also like, it's almost this requirement. And I don't care who or what leadership team would sit down and say, of course it's not required, but it's like, really? Right. If I didn't get pulled into your car at 3 a.m. to go to some random place, would you have treated me the same? Mm-hmm. And, it was that. So it was a lot of toxic. And honestly, one of the things that really kicked that off was I was at this one agency, because, the whole industry is incestuous, as we all know.
Yeah.
And it's like you end up, how many vertical moves can you make? Horizontal moves are you going to make? Like, and go from one place to another place to another place to another place. And then on top of that, at this one place, these leaders, the CEO pissed off enough people that the FBI got involved, because this mad employee hacked into the whole system. He stole my email address and started emailing the database horrible things. Oh, wow. So then my reputation gets pushed on. And I was like, oh, okay, if these aren't signs to...
Exactly. Right.
I would be completely, deaf, dumb, and blind because I clearly wouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the signs were there, and it was very toxic, very toxic.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, look, thankfully you got out when you did.
Well, yes, exactly. And your Wolf of Wall Street remark could not be more perfect, considering it was that.
Wow.
It's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, we definitely want to stay away from things like that. I tell you what, okay, so that's done. Thankfully you're going into, I think you said year 7, which is definitely a lucky number, and good things happen at year 7, as we know. Fast forward now, you have a lot of different creative projects going on. You got different programs. You have Disrupt Now, which is a program and a podcast. And then you also have Team Goo. So let's talk a little bit more about, you pivoting from corporate culture. Now you're a full-blown entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur, we should say. And it's like, a change in pace, things are a little bit different. You're pretty much the founder, CEO, the boss, right? So
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that journey and, how what some of the things that you guys are doing and what the mission is.
Yeah, that's, it's been very intriguing how it evolves when you go deeper, or we can also say as we expand as entrepreneurs. So evolution is the underpinning to all of our jobs as humans. And so the interesting thing is as that's been uncovered and more things that I've awakened to as I've gone through this journey, as I know, many of us entrepreneurs can get very stuck in like, well, this is what I created. So how can it be more? But really businesses are living organisms just as we are.
Yeah.
And so it's been very intriguing to see, when I stepped out of that agency and I left a big fat paycheck, and that was extremely disconcerting to say the least, considering I'm living in New York City. So
yeah, I can imagine.
That was like, oh God, what am I doing? I quit a lot in my head.
Guys, are you need anybody to come in? Maybe part time, right?
Yeah. But it's interesting. You just keep taking one step and then another step and then another step. And it's amazing when you are guided by your intuition, what does unfold. Yeah. And then, when I first started and kicked off Team Goo, which is I call it a creative collective because it encompasses just creative work in terms of video design and writing.
Yeah.
And strategy, of course, underpins it all. And I took some clients with me. So I was able to kick it off pretty quickly after I left, which was awesome because I had already planned previously. I know I had like a year before I had started the business to be like, I know it's going to be something.
Yeah, exactly. Don't know what, but.
Don't know what. Right. Yeah. So as it's unfolded, and you only make a couple of mistakes, and then and then what I really did is I realized that there was a very specific niche that I needed to fill, and it became I took on a couple wrong clients, and was like, this is really making me get who I am at a deeper level and who I need to work with, right? Because I get to decide. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we got to remember. So saying no was like awesome. It was like the most, beautiful experience because when you say no, it allows other things to come in.
Yeah.
And so it's shifted into this model where we only work with companies that do humanity good. So they're healers. They're people that are, have intuitive gifts. They're companies that, create a product that is just, that is on a mission to change the world. So if we can work with people like that, then therefore our purpose gets to unfold. Because now, my husband and I are in this together, and, if we keep it in this niched down, perfect pathway, then we fulfill our mission of changing the world through the work that we do. So it's like we get to be the change while we help others be the change.
Exactly. No, and that's I'll tell you what, that's what you're doing. And I love the fact that you're still, you're still doing marketing.
Yes.
You're still implementing that skill set that you were good at, pre, Disrupt Now. So I want to talk a little bit about marketing and sales, and you just kind of pivoting a little bit toward the direction that you want to go, intuitively. Mm-hmm. So it's more conscious, it's more purposeful, it has a different meaning. So tell us a little bit about how your intuitive insight help you guide those services. I know you put it down to where, all right, we're only going to focus on this type of client. But mm-hmm. How important is that? Like, how important was that for you to really devise a plan for Disrupt Now and what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, if I knew if I didn't get clear and have the clarity in which to use my guidance system, saying the type of people that you need to uplift and empower are those like you that have a message for the world.
Right. Yeah.
If we don't allow them to speak their truth and support them, then this world misses out on their gifts. So that underpinning is really drives all the work that Team Goo is allowed to do. And then what was very interesting is as I was like probably the second year, I would say, I actually was like, there's something else here that needs to come through. I was really feeling it, which was interesting. I'm like, oh my gosh, how would I take on more?
Yeah.
But I was, again, this is the inner guidance system. This is intuition, higher self saying there's more that you need to offer. And that has only expanded. I can't even, I mean, it's crazy what has happened in the last even couple of years, but,
right.
But I had a dream. And that dream showed me exactly what was next, or what was simultaneous and parallel to Team Goo, which is the Disrupt Now brand, and what it needed to accomplish. Because what I saw is I'm working, one-on-one with a lot of CEOs, leaders of companies, and of all kinds of sizes. Yeah. And what happened in every single instance is if they weren't seeing the success that they wanted, it was 100% about them being in the way of the success. Mm. And so while we would love to think that life and business are two kind of these quote unquote two separate things, we can kind of silo them off. I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
We must be integrated. And so Disrupt Now became this mission and purpose to serve in a different light, which is, all right, like I just launched a program called Tap Into Your Magic. Yeah. But even before I launched this program, what it has been about is providing people with clarity. Get clear on what your magic is. Really, really get clear on what you can offer the world. And then come over here to Team Goo and launch your unique magic into the world the proper way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's simultaneous pathways, and one works with the other and vice versa, because if people aren't clear, as you well know, yeah. I see people launch, and you're like, oh my God, you're
right.
Okay. You're wasting thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not more of dollars spent on you. You're not taking the time to do strategy. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So if people can just stop, listen, and really get what they need to put into the world, I mean, talk about it does. It just, yeah, it's like all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and you know what? And I love, dang, Natalie, I love the fact that you mentioned that, because, a lot of people would think that those are separate. To me, like sometimes what I see is when it comes to intuition and higher self, I think a lot of people reserve that only for creative projects, like right. art and music and stuff like that. But when it comes to business, sales, marketing, other industries, tech and finance, it's like, okay, yeah, I got to use my willpower and force and all that other stuff. Talk to us a little bit about how you can actually tap into that insight, into that guidance, because maybe there's somebody who's listening that that's not aware. Some people aren't even aware that they have that power. So talk to us a little bit about how we can go about finding that power and taking it back so that we can be successful in the things that we're interested in.
So the first thing I would say is intuition definitely is not reserved for specific people. Some of us have it from the beginning, meaning we come out of the womb and we're more sensitive, and it just is part of our existence.
Yeah.
I know that every human on this planet is powerful. I know that every human on this planet has magic and a unique magic. And I know that everyone has an intuition, inner guidance system. And what happens is people, places, things take the power away, and people they turn their inner guidance system off. Because especially women, if you talk about, I know in my gut, and you start with that sentence, often in any kind of situation, people are like, I'm sorry, and what proof do you have?
Right.
Right. And it's like, I don't need proof because I know. Yep. And so the first thing is to start thinking about persons, places, things that took your power away. Like, when did your inner guidance system get a little turned off? Maybe it's not completely off, and maybe it's still there. It's just that we need to listen, learn how that skill of listening. And everyone's heard, well, meditation is key, and it's true. But what I think we've twisted is, what is meditation? What is, people call it prayer. It's not begging to something or something else to come save you. Yeah. It's actually going within and saying, okay, I'm listening. Start speaking. I'm here. And it starts there. So, going within can be done in so many different ways. Like, you don't have to sit in a lotus position to do so.
Right.
You don't have to use different, all this stuff. There's a lot of power in certain things, right? And it's ancient wisdom. And this is another piece of things that I'm bringing back into this world is, if we go to primordial times and bring that wisdom back, and make a bridge into the now, we can truly be powerful. But the sitting, we don't have to sit. But the silence is important. Mm-hmm. But, I think there's another facet here. Qigong, Tai Chi, anything that's actually going to really get in touch with the energy of who you are, shifts things within you in a way that it's almost difficult to bring into our language because we don't have words to describe it. Yeah. And so these are very simple ways, first, see where you gave your power away. Second, go within and start being with yourself more, because it is there, and you just have to clear the cobwebs to listen intently, because he or she or whatever is speaking through to you to help guide you.
Exactly. Yeah. And you mentioned another important fact is, making sure that you can hear. You have to get silent at some point. And, we have so many distractions and things that are happening to where it can be almost impossible. Well, but we know it's not impossible. You just have to be disciplined enough to be able to quiet down so that you can hear. And while we're talking about the services and some of the things that you guys do, like let's mention a little bit about the type of clients that you guys help, because of course you have I know it's 2 different tiers, but like, is there a specific type of client, or who can come to you, in other words, for assistance if they need, planning on a business, or just kind of getting down to the root of what it is that they want to do?
So it works kind of in 2 ways. So the Tap Into Your Magic program is for anyone that is being called for more right now. We are being asked to evolve faster.
Yeah. Quick.
Consciousness faster, awaken faster. And that program is entirely made to help people get clarity on what do you need to do right now to step into the service to others path. Because there is no mistake. There was this thing that everyone calls a great resignation. Why? Because people want more. No more of this BS of working for these companies that don't give a care about you in any way, shape, or form, right? So people are feeling this like massive shift happening. So that's what that program is really all about, and it's deep clarity. So while you ground, you expand. And then on the Team Goo side, we work with a lot of different kinds of businesses. A person is, for example, there's a business owner that runs a health and wellness clinic. We have another business owner who is, she has all kinds of products. She's like a green witch, I would call her. Right. And she makes, crystal elixirs and things of this nature. I work a lot in the space of technology because I do believe technology is beautiful when it is used.
Right.
In the beautiful way, like we are using it right now.
Here we go. Yep.
Here we go. But I've worked, with a company that's a startup, a technology startup in Canada, and they are a company that wants to, take on this whole realm of giving employees voices in the workplace. So, a lot of healing, health and wellness, and honestly, just companies that seriously are doing good in the world. Like they want to change something and they're on a mission to change something. So that's who we work really, really well with.
Wow. All right. Well, you guys don't delay. Natalie she's giving you the goods, right? She's giving you the goods. Well, I'll tell you what, I want, before we prepare to wrap up, I'm going to ask you for some words of encouragement because, you never know, like you never know who may need those words. Just to inspire and to encourage people to keep moving forward, just what words would you have for someone today?
I think what people need to hear right now, what comes to me all the time is you matter. Your voice matters. I promise that you have this unique magic within you that must be put into this world. The great tapestry or mosaic that we create as a collective on this planet as earthlings is when everybody is doing their purpose, when they put their magic into the world, which is their special gift, that is the time in which we have created a true oneness amongst all people on this planet. And we are at a very imperative time where this is necessary. Like there's no getting around it anymore. Mm-hmm. So just know that your unique magic counts and you deserve to do what that is.
You deserve it. Keep moving and keep grooving. Thank you so much for that. Natalie, let us know where we can find you online if anybody wants to connect. And we got to have you back for a part 2 because I want to get more into some other things that you're doing in regards to like the healing work and go ahead. What were you about to say?
I was going to say that, that's like a whole other thing, isn't it?
I know we can't get that in 30 minutes, but hey guys, I promise we will have her back for part 2 so that we can tap into a little bit more of that. But as we wrap up, feel free to leave all your socials where we can connect. If there's anybody who wants more information on those programs, drop all that good stuff for us.
Perfect. On Instagram, I'm Disrupt with Natalie, so you can always check me out there. I think the best place to connect for just this initial experience of getting to know and tap into your magic is disruptnowprogram.com, and then tap into your magic course. And you can find it under the Work With Me tab. So that is where everyone can find me.
All right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, Natalie. It has been a joy. You guys, Natalie Viglione, who is the founder of Team Goo and also Disrupt Mal. Oh my goodness. Disrupt Now, guys. Make sure that you connect with her and learn more information about all the wonderful things she has going. Natalie, thanks again. I appreciate you being such a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetra's website updates, just log on to keetra.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.